Be weary of those who are always trying to fight over every little thing. Everything is always a fight. Something is off about them. And this is a spirit message. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Milk Honey Rose. I am Mystic Alchemy. Thank you for being here. The last 2 or 3 words I said, I heard burnout as I was speaking. Burnout. A lot of these individuals are burnt out from a certain something in their life that has made them feel like less than. So they're angry and they want to fight everybody. Okay? It's not healthy because they're always in this energy. Okay, now, yeah, we do activate when it's time now. We do. However, there are some that, and I'm not condoning fighting, of course not. But to protect yourself is to protect yourself, and that's just what it is. Especially nowadays, because we don't walk amongst just humans anymore. Just in case one may think this. No, honey. There are some individuals that walk this earth that they may look human, but there's something else. Okay? You could take it or leave it. But don't say I never said something to you about this. Okay? So, yes, it is important for you to be mindful of these things. But this is like it feels like I don't want to scare you, but it feels like a forewarning. If you have someone around you that's like that, that's always wanting to fight, like they always have that going on, they don't have any peace inside of them. If that's always the solution that they come up with every time, it's like, oh, well, we could take this outside every time, even over something small and ridiculous. If that's the mindset, get far away from that person, because it is highly likely that they will get you into something that you can't get out of. Off the strength of association. It just doesn't make sense. Sometimes things make sense, but in how they move, it doesn't. And you know that. And many of you are familiar with this energy. You've crossed paths with it before. A lot of that has to do with problems that they try to suppress or concerns that they have that they don't express. It has a lot to do with like suppression of energy. And so, or it's like ignoring energy within that is bothersome. It's becoming an annoyance for them. So instead of them taking whoever to the side and speaking to them about it, or just expressing themselves, it comes out in anger. So a lot of these times, these are the individuals that will say that nothing is wrong when something is wrong, but they never take the time to express themselves to say what it is that's bothering them. They'll just keep it aside and act like they cool, but they're really not cool. You ask them, you cool? Yeah, I'm cool. You sure you good? Yeah, I'm cool. But really, they boiling inside, but they trying to act like everything's cool. So they never really express themselves, and they have a hard time keeping their composure. Like, even if they had a lot on their mind to say, they may have trouble articulating what it is that they have to say. So it usually comes out in a rage. And every chance they get, it's like they ready to fight. And it's like, what's wrong with you? What's really going on inside of you? Okay, this is the energy that I'm getting. I heard their distorted reality could pry its way into yours, into your reality. When I say into yours, that's what I mean. Be very wary of these energies, because it's likely that they have much attached to them that could possibly trickle down on you, dependent on how severe their condition is when it comes to the reason for this massive suppression that they deal with regularly, because the solution is always a fight. And many times you'll notice that when they act in such a way, you're looking at them like that wasn't even necessary, you know? There's a time and place for everything. But sometimes you could tell something is not right with these individuals. Okay, I just looked up in psychology, like what is the definition of suppression. So I'm going to read it to you. Suppression is the conscious effort to push disturbing thoughts, feelings, or memories out of our awareness and to inhibit the expression of unacceptable impulses. Okay? Let me look up the spiritual meaning and see what it says. Un momento. There's so much that we have to look at within ourselves. You know, if you realize that something is wrong with you, don't just ignore it and act like you're cool when you know you're not, because that problem is just going to get worse. You have to say something, do something. You can't just, you could just let it be, but is that really what you want? Do you really want to continue to feel like that? And if anybody close to you is acting this way and you feel like it's worth it for you to say something, you should, especially if it's like family or somebody that, you feel like you could talk to on that note, or you just feel comfortable. It's to each his own. You choose if you feel that it's right for you to say something or not. But you could just tell them where that could lead them to, because sometimes people don't take that into consideration. Okay, the spiritual definition of suppression, it says, is the act of restraining or being restrained from spiritual truth, purpose, and growth. This can be done intentionally by individuals to avoid or suppress the thought, to avoid or suppress the thought, or the truth. Escúchame. Or it can refer to an external force, like a spiritual influence or oppression, that attempts to hold back, subdue, or crush a person's connection to their faith or God's will. Yeah. So that's just like allowing an external force to affect you so much that you just suppress it. You don't say anything. You don't even rectify it on your own time by yourself. Instead, you just get angry at the most inopportune times, or any time, really, is what it feels like. And that's just unhealthy. It's just unhealthy to be around somebody with that energy, because their vibe is low, and eventually they're going to get on your nerves, especially if you're someone who is not vibing like that, who is not vibing in that low grade of energy. Okay? So this is a message for someone. Just keep it in mind. And if this is you, you can do better if you want to. It's up to you. If you walking around angry all the time, you really want to look at that, because you're meant to surpass that, like to get over that and understand where the anger is coming from, so you could pinpoint it to uproot it from within your subconscious mind, because that's really where it's at. Sometimes the problem is hidden in your subconscious mind from something that you learned as a child. And then it's up to you to figure out what that is through shadow work and uproot that and replace that energy with something that is more positive and promotes growth instead of stagnancy and depression. Okay? So yes. And it is good to unlearn what you've been taught, especially as a child, because a lot of what we've been taught has been wrong from the very beginning, even before we were birthed into this realm. It was wrong. It been wrong. So we just happen to be born into this space in the way in which it is. And sometimes people can be in a bubble. Those that have had, a better experience than others. So it's very confusing for them to understand why people are the way they are, because they haven't gotten a chance to really understand other people from where they come from and their experiences and things as such. That's why I find it very important to show children, especially, different ways of life and different hardships that people go through, because it gives them a broader understanding rather than those that are closed-minded and don't have enough context on a person's differences to understand the why. And then they just look at it like it's something that it's not, Okay. And that's, it doesn't necessarily have to be just a lesson for children. I think that's a lesson for everyone. So yes, that's it for this message. If you deem this energy as suitable to walk with you in your journey, drop it down in the comments below. 8888. I declare this is an aspect of my love, just to have understanding when it comes to someone who's always angry. There's a reason for that. They're not just like that. There is work that needs to be done in their shadow, and they're ignoring it, so they lash out often and they want to fight. Okay, and don't let them get no substances in them. Then they just unstoppable. They just gonna be tearing everything up like the Incredible Hulk, and nobody can stop them. And then the next morning they gonna be like, yesterday and last night you was tripping. And they gonna be like, what? No, I wasn't. Don't talk to me like that, son. Okay? You're like, no, you was tripping. You need to chill. That's a real friend. That's what a real friend is gonna say. You need to slow down and just pay attention before you hurt yourself or someone else. Okay, so that's it for this message. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're feeling my vibe, especially if this message does resonate with you. To book a healthy conversation, you can by visiting www.milkhoneyRose.org. Also, you can join the membership here on YouTube to gain access to additional content. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.